Thank you, Layla. Well, our next guest has been labelled such a threat that parenting and medical groups want her banned from entering Australia. Anti-vaccination campaigner Sherri Tenpenny is due to hold a series of talks here in March, but there is mounting pressure on the federal government to now cancel her visa. Earlier, I asked her if she was surprised by the reaction to her trip.
I was actually quite surprised. It was not what I was expecting. I didn't know that there was going to cause such a large uproar. I mean, I was coming there on a holiday. I'd been asked to speak to some small groups along the eastern coast. I assumed that I was going to come into the country, speak to a few groups, maybe a few hundred people, enjoy my holiday and quietly get back on the plane and return back to the U.S. I had no idea it was going to create such an international event.
Well, 5 venues have now cancelled your appearance. You must be aware by now that it's a pretty controversial topic, though.
It's a controversial topic everywhere. I didn't know that it was quite as heated in Australia. It certainly isn't that heated here in the U.S.
You advocate personal choice, from my understanding, but the medical experts on this say that vaccination is a social responsibility, that you're risking public health, particularly that of children, the elderly and the sick, by exposing them to infectious diseases. What's your response to that?
My response is that I believe that people do have a choice and should have a fully informed choice about what is being injected into their bodies, and that there are a lot of other ways to keep yourself healthy other than just being vaccinated.
But don't the really sick, though, rely on herd immunity, that if we do advocate personal choice for everyone and if everyone decided not to vaccinate, then we would have an absolute public health disaster on our hands?
Well, just because you're vaccinated doesn't mean that you're not going to get sick. And we've also seen recent reports over the last couple of months where people who are vaccinated are the ones that are shedding the viruses much more than the assumption of people who are unvaccinated that are spreading disease.
Why then are the doctors, scientists and medical professionals then all advocating vaccination? Are you saying that it's a big conspiracy?
No, what I've actually said all of these years, all the 14 years that I've spent investigating problems associated with vaccines, is that there's another side of the story, and that when we do vaccinate, we should take other things into consideration, like genetics, what the health of the family is, what the health of the child is, what their diet is like. We know that there are so many genetic mutations now that are not expressed, and I think that the topic deserves a broader discussion rather than just going along and giving every child and every adult the same vaccine.
What qualifies you, though, to talk about this? You're an osteopath, not an immunologist.
Well, an osteopath in America is trained the same as a medical doctor is. We have the same 4-year medical degrees. We hold the same positions.
But
we
you're
can
not
be
a medical doctor,
neurosurgeons and
though.
everything. Oh, no, we are medical physicians. We just have a different type of training.
Would you advise anyone to have vaccinations?
I would advise parents to take that to decide on their own. I believe that there's another side of the story that parents are not being told. I believe that parents are being told consistently that vaccines are safe, effective, protective, and harmless. And I believe that that's not true 100% of the time across the board.
Well, we appreciate your time. Your upcoming visit is going to be controversial nonetheless. You're coming over here at the end of February, and we thank you very much for speaking to us this morning.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, well, to go through Sherri's points, we are now joined by Peter McIntyre, who is the Director of the National Centre for Immunisation Research and Surveillance of Vaccine-Preventable Diseases. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
I guess your initial response to what Sherri had to say this morning?
Well, I think her point about there being freedom of choice is something that everyone agrees about in Australia. I mean, there's never been any suggestion that people would be forced to be immunised, but I guess what everyone, I think, in the medical community and as well as the vaccine community is keen to emphasise is that the benefits of being vaccinated just so far exceed any risks that it's really a no-brainer, and we want people to understand that, and we want them, and particularly children who can't decide for themselves, we want them to have the benefit of that protection from vaccines.
She mentioned that we are simply not informed enough, that we are not well informed as parents, and that that we need to become better informed. Do you agree with that?
Well, I think that's a pretty broad and very difficult to defend statement. I mean, there's lots of terrific information available. A lot of parents don't want a whole lot of detailed information. They're very happy with what they get from their GP or perhaps from a nurse at a clinic. But for those relatively small numbers of parents who want lots of detailed information, it's all there. And in fact, we've got fabulous information on the Immunise Australia website and from various publications that are available.
anti-vaccination, almost a is still out, that we don't yet know if they're safe and we don't yet know if they're effective, and often people talk about them all being bundled together as being an issue. What's your point of view on that?
Well, I think I would agree to the extent that because vaccines are given to healthy people to stop them getting sick, not to sick people, you know, to fix a problem, obviously that means we have to have a really high priority on safety. But I'd just emphasise to everyone that we do have that high priority. So firstly, vaccines are extensively tested before they're available for use, and even after they're available for use, they're very carefully monitored to make sure that we're not getting any unexpected problems. And we've had a couple of examples recently in Australia where we did have unexpected problems with the flu vaccine causing fevers a few years ago. When that came to light, it was unexpected, but it was dealt with very quickly, and the vaccine was withdrawn from use completely until we worked out what was happening. And now we know that it was just one kind of flu vaccine, and we are able to use flu vaccines in children, and we're really very confident about it. So I think the public can be very assured that not only do vaccines get checked thoroughly, but they are constantly monitored, and we're very confident, and we place a huge importance on their safety.
Well, Peter McIntyre, thank you so much for coming in. We really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.